Broadcasting to you live from the Orion spiral arm of the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, somewhere in a nation holding both hockey and NHL. That's the same. Both hockey and basketball playoffs at the same time. My name's Brian Engelman. Today is Wednesday, May 28th, 2025. And this is the TNAM Daily Show. For the first time in Rasmussen polling, America is moving in the right direction. Optimism is trumping deep state media lies and propaganda. There is hope. Don't take the black pill. Don't lose faith. Don't give up. Don't let the demons win. Plus, we're going to unpack all the rest of the news on today's show. Let's get into it.
Your guide to the truth, the new AmericanMedia.com.
Hello, and thank you for joining, everybody. Please hit like, hit subscribe, however you are watching the show. We've been delivering you original content for 14 years, I tells ya. 14 years of independent media. We've been unpacking the news. We've been telling you like it is this whole time. And now, well, we decided we're going to keep telling you like it is. Because I don't trust what's out there. I don't buy into the lying legacy media. I'm not going to do it. It is constant fear-mongering from the left, from the Democrats, from the teachers' unions. Really, the people educating your children are brainwashing them and rotting their skulls. It's bad. It's really bad. The media is doing it. The Democrats are doing it. Your schools are doing it to your children. And it's all so scrambled together. It's the same blob. It's the same. I don't know how else to tell you. It's just the same stuff. Wherever you're looking, it's one heaping pile of nonsense. And we're just trying to make our way through this world and make sense of what we're seeing. We're trying to understand what's likely, what's most likely, what's unlikely, what's verifiably false, what's slant, what's projection, and really, what are just operations designed to keep the Trump administration from succeeding. We've seen it over and over and over and over again, but it ain't working. Let me share this with you. This is relevant. Put the screen up here. Up and down or side by side. Oh, I can do side by side. All right, let's try it this way. Rasmussen reports in one of its many daily and weekly polls, asks likely U.S. voters whether they believe the country is on the right track or the wrong track. Historically, this poll dates back to August 2007, nearly 20 years ago. Yeah, about 19 years ago. Typically, this number was in the 20s or 30s. At least it was for most of the Biden administration. During former President Joe Biden's final week, only 39% felt the country was on the right track. The following week, President Trump took the reins, and this number immediately jumped to 46%, likely based on his announced plans and cabinet selections. The right direction number then hovered in the mid to high 40s, but this week marked a first in nearly 20 years since the inception of this Rasmussen Reports poll. As announced this week, for the first time, 50% of likely U.S. voters believe America is on the right track. By the way, if we're going to say, well, they're not saying a majority, it's only 50%. It's not technically the majority. Well, you know what? What do they say in sports? In baseball, a tie goes to the runner. In football, a jump ball catch where both the receiver and the defensive back, the tie goes to the receiver, I believe. Actually, now I need to check that. Does the tie go to the receiver in NFL? Tie goes to the runner, a baseball concept that doesn't directly apply, but there's a similar idea in certain situations. Inconclusive evidence means the catch stands if the call is complete for pass plays. Close calls do favor the offense. Burden of proof requires clear evidence to reverse the call. But yeah, tie going to the runner is a baseball concept that doesn't directly apply. But there's a similar idea in certain situations. So anyway, tie goes to the runner in baseball. I'm glad I looked that one up. So we're going to give the tie of 50% to President Trump, since it's never happened. I'm going to say join our live daily show here on, geez. You ever spell something so wrong, like spell check has no clue how to even help you out? There we go. Join our live daily show. That went out on Facebook. We are streaming on Rumble. Everything is right in the universe. So tie goes to President Trump. And by the way, we're going to get to sports. We're going to get you a recap on what's going on in your NHL and NBA playoffs. Then we're going to go through the news. So, as announced this week for the first time, 50% of likely U.S. voters believe America is on the right track, marking a significant milestone representing a psychological shift from pessimism to optimism. And they often credit, by the way, this is my commentary now, they often credit Ronald Reagan with being a good energy guy, a good hype man, a good salesman, a good vibes guy. And that's what half of this stuff comes down to is optimism versus pessimism. Joe Biden, that was the third Obama term. Just call it what it is. It's the third Obama term. The people running the country from the shadows of Biden's dementia and his cancer and everything else, they're the same people that were around Barack Obama. Obama famously said, if I could govern the country with an earpiece, telling a front man or a front woman what to say, I think I could give that the old okey doke, Yeah, and that's what it was. Whether it was Hunter Biden, whether it was Valerie Jarrett, Anita Dunn, the laundry list of other people who were running the country. They're saying Elizabeth Warren was the auto pen. We'll see. Under 3 terms of Obama, and yes, the same Obama speechwriters were writing that self-deprecating, anti-white, anti-American crap that Biden was spewing. Oh, Dark Brandon, yeah. He was reading the Obama speeches, just he was delivering them as an old decrepit white guy. Getting 10% for the big guy, allegedly, showering with his daughter inappropriately, allegedly, and creating that crackhead deviant Hunter. So yeah, everything about Obama It was weird because it was like Schrodinger's candidate. He was hopity hope, changeity change, hopity hope, changeity change. Hope, 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 change, 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 hope, hope, hope. But then it was also like, if I had a son, my son would look like that guy. And this country is evil, really bad, really bad. Look at Juicy Smollett and Bubba Wallace and LeBron James and my pal Diddy and Trayvon and everything this guy pushed was toxic, divisive, manipulative, drivel, race baiter in chief. When Obama was elected, I said, you know what? I don't like anything about this guy. The Little Red Schoolhouse, the communist Marxist ties, the indoctrination Reverend Wright. Like, I don't like this guy. I don't like his policies so far as I've been able to discern, because when you don't speak in specifics, you can be everything to everyone. That's the key in politics. I think there's a line about that in Hamilton. Man, I can't even remember it, but to paraphrase and butcher the point of it was, talk less, smile more. Don't let them know what you're against or what you're for. Okay, maybe I am getting close to what it is. Something, still paraphrasing. But yeah, hopity hope, changeity change, Obamity bombity. We're 5 days away from fundamentally transforming the United States of America, into something unrecognizable and not good. And the Obama doctrine has been to globally work with Soros and the NGOs to flood every sovereign nation with non-citizens to permanently alter their voting blocks. Colonization through Obama, the Obama doctrine, Soros, the globalists, the deep state. There was a part of me, even though I didn't like anything about the Democrat Party, I didn't like their leadership, I didn't like their ideas, I didn't want Barack Obama to become president. But I did say, look, at least if this happens, maybe what's a silver lining here? Well, you got a half white guy, half black guy, first black president, to some segments of our society that constantly fixates on the color of skin. I think to their detriment, to everybody's detriment, a hyper fixation on skin color. I don't get it. We all have skin. They're all different shades. Who the fork cares? Well, to the race baiters, to the race hoaxsters like Obama, the community agitator in chief, yes, it matters to him, Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson. It matters to them because that's how they derive their power and control. They shame you in school into silence and compliance, to guilt, white guilt. Oh, aren't you guilty? Don't you feel bad about all these things that happened to people who aren't you by people that aren't you? Constantly pushing this stuff so that you crank out a generation of confused kids who aren't going to speak up. They're not going to speak for common sense. 2 + 2 = 5. And it's not enough that you repeat it. You have to actually believe that a man can become pregnant. You have to believe that a woman can become a man. These things cannot happen. You can't wave a wand and change chromosomes. But you start with something simple and you increase the big lie. You just keep going with it. Open borders are great. Yeah, we should overthrow Ukraine and provoke a potentially nuclear World War III with Russia. Yeah. Well, if Obama's for it, I'm for it. But look, I did have a little bit of hope. Like, if there's some amount of healing that I'll never understand as a white dude that's lived in this generation, the past couple of decades, I don't understand. I don't understand the multi-generational stuff, the baggage, the trauma. I don't get it. Of course, I get the concept of it, but I didn't have my parents telling me their horror stories, my friends telling me their horror stories. grandparents telling me their horror stories. And that stuff does seep in somewhere if you let it. You know, I got to help out a young man for about half a year while he was transitioning from one school to the next, and he needed a place to stay. And I'd known him for half of his life, from 5 years to 10 years old. I said, come on, move in with me. I said, I don't want you having to change schools because you're going to go to another school next year. Let's just get you through this. What was it? 5th grade, I think. Yeah, I don't know. I went from 0 to 10-year-old really quick. But what I told him was, don't buy into the victimhood mentality that your teachers are giving you. They're doing walkouts. They're reading Dr. Seuss just to read, not to read his books, but to read articles about why he's a racist. All these Marxist fists up on the wall, rainbow flag. It was everything but just learning. Learn to read, learn to write, learn just like the basics of becoming a functional American. And I said, don't buy into this victim narrative, buddy. Don't do it. Woe is me, and things are so stacked against me. I'm like, number one, nobody cares. Number two, they're not. Number three, you're the only one in charge. Make good decisions. Don't knock up somebody out of wedlock if you don't intend to have a kid. Like, if you're not trying to start a family, don't start a family. Don't start doing drugs and alcohol and become an addict that's going to wreck your life, and finish school. You know, super cool story. I was able to reconnect with him last week. Super cool. And he does not have any children. He's not addicted to anything, as far as what he told me. And he's set to graduate with a 3-point average in a week and a half. I was like, heck yeah, dude. He says he wants to be a politician, might join the military. So, you know, that was my number one hope, just to see him succeed and not let his whiny, manipulative teachers convince him. The world's stacked against you. You're never going to make it. You need communism, Marxism, socialism. No, see, this capitalist regime, it's a social construct of the white man, and you'll never succeed. You need to vote Democrat forever for free handouts, or else you'll never make anything of yourself. Go forge your own path and don't buy into the victim narrative. So the point of all this is just to say that for all the hope-itty hope and change-itty change, the Obama doctrine has been negativity and manipulation from day one. And so for Rasmussen now, for the first time in 19 years, first time ever seeing 50% of likely U.S. voters believing America is on the right track. Never in the past 20 years, during both Republican and Democrat administrations and Congresses, even during the 8 years of hope and change, have Americans been this optimistic about the direction of America. So I wanted to share that with you today, because we do have an epidemic of negativity. And if you're watching MSNBC or CNN, please, for the love of God, turn that shit off. Please don't buy into this. Good morning, David Band. Thanks for joining. Going a little early today. Got some stuff on the agenda I got to take care of. As I've mentioned, be aware the TNAM daily show may be on a floating schedule of sorts moving forward, and it might move into the evenings, and it might not be every day of the week. There are other things going on, so I will keep you updated as things change. All right, let's play you this clip. This is talking about the Biden cover-up maybe being worse than Watergate, says Jake Tapper.
Alex.
Well, you know what? By the way, Watergate was a big nothing burger. Oh, I said it. By the way, that was the deep state taking Nixon out. By the way, you want to know about a real spy? Debacle. a treasonous spy incident that you should really know about? Obamagate. You should know about the fake FISA warrants and how they surveilled the Trump campaign, how they framed him, not just for insurrection in 2020 and 2021. I'm talking about how they framed him. Oh, he's a Putin puppet. He's Russian collusion. There's a P-tape. Hillary Clinton, the DNC, Perkins Coie, the Steele dossier. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. The fake FISA warrants where you manipulate information so you can get a judge to sign off on something generic so that you can spy on the entire Trump campaign. That is the Watergate we need to hear about, and that is treasonous activity. 1 billion times Watergate is what Obama did. Where are the damned indictments, I ask? Anyway, is it worse than Watergate? You're damn right this is worse than Watergate. Here we go.
Thompson this weekend on Fox News.
In the book, you quote a longtime Biden aide basically admitting he shouldn't be running again. They said to you on page 85, he just had to win, and then he could disappear for 4 years. He'd only have to show proof of life every once in a while. His aides could pick up the slack. Who would have been running the White House in a second Biden term?
Well, this person went on to say that when you're voting for a president, you're voting for the aides around him. But these aides were not even Senate confirmed aides. These are White House aides. These were unelected people. And one of the things that really, I think, comes out in our reporting here is that if you believe, and I think a lot of these people do sincerely believe that Donald Trump was and is an existential threat to democracy, you can rationalize anything, including sometimes doing undemocratic things, which I think is what this person is talking about.
Harris, so the point was made that these are not Senate confirmed aides. Listen to these two sentences, allegedly from a cabinet secretary to Alex Thompson. I've never seen a situation like this before with so few people having so much power. They would make huge economic decisions without calling Treasury Secretary Yellen. These aides seem to be the ones making the calls. That's not the way democracy works. This is Alex Thompson this weekend on Fox News.
Oh, okay.
In the book, you quote a longtime Biden aide basically admitting he shouldn't be running again. They said to you on page.
Yeah, this is treason, most foul. Where'd my comment go? Ah, there we go. Okay. Asha Logos says a reminder that what is presently labeled right-wing extremism was once considered the most natural and obvious truth by the overwhelming majority of your ancestors. Did you get that? Are you crystal clear on that? Right-wing extremism. By the way, never say the term far right-wing. There's no such thing. There's no such thing. Don't say it. Don't repeat it. It's how they slur regular right-wing. Right-wing is correct. Right-wing is common sense. Left-wing is lunatic. Far left-wing is, into dangerous, dangerous territory. But yes, a reminder that what is presently labeled right-wing extremism was once considered the most natural and obvious truth by the overwhelming majority of your ancestors. Take a look at the exact. An NGO simulating ways to weaponize race relations in 2020 to benefit the Biden campaign. What? This is exactly what I told you. The third term of Barack Hussein Obama, the Obama doctrine of divisive racial hatred and division. I said at least there could be some healing from some of this multi-generational trauma of the baggage of slavery. Fine. America fought a bloody civil war to get rid of this. Our laws are equal. Everybody has a chance to succeed in 2025. I really wish we'd stop looking in the rear view and spending 95% of our energy yelling at stuff that didn't happen to us by people that weren't us. Let's focus on the windshield moving forward. But no, the race hoaxsters have to look backward. And you know what they do? They weaponize it. So no, we didn't have racial healing in America. We had the exact opposite because Obama is the most divisive character we've ever seen in the White House. Yeah, the people constantly opposing Orange Man bad, that's a psychosis that they have. The Orange Man bad, Trump derangement syndrome people, that's on them. That's on them. And it is seriously a mental illness that I wish Bobby Kennedy would spend some time addressing. Good morning, David. Good morning, Kenneth. Hello, everybody. But listen to Mike Benz here.
That group behind the Transition Integrity Project, which explicitly plotted in the height of the George Floyd riots, ran a war game about how the Biden campaign, in case Trump won in a clear win scenario, clear Trump win was the name of their scenario, scenario 3. This is in June 2020. How the Biden campaign could get racial justice activists from these riots to be, quote, receptive to a Biden call to take to the streets, and plotted what needed to be done to resource them and to cultivate relationships with Black Lives Matter's senior leadership and community leaders so that they would owe the Biden administration favors in case they need to be called on. And lo and behold, who pays them $50 billion? The Chamber of Commerce then flooded them with $50 billion in contributions. You remember that? All the different Chamber of Commerce companies just flooded billions of dollars of donations to BLM.
To destroy our country.
The exact group behind the Transition Integrity Project, which explicitly plotted in the height of the George Floyd riots, ran a war game about how the Biden campaign, in case...
You don't hate the deep state nearly enough. It's always been about Obama. Where'd the story go? Okay, Jessica. Hey, here's your reminder. America runs on sexual blackmail. Thought it ran on Duncan. Oh. Cheers, people. Are you sipping on coffee? I got my Liberty or Death mug here. It's not my branded mug, but you know. All right. I'm sipping on some coffee. America runs on sexual blackmail. From Diddy to Epstein. I was talking about our public school teachers here. Heavy breathing. What do I press? What do I press? Do I turn him gay or have sex with him in a parking lot? Be careful with your kids. Be careful with where you're giving your kids over to for 8 hours a day, 9 hours a day. I encourage you to pull them out of these leftist indoctrination camps. And good morning, Bella's Chance. We are early today. Yes, we are. I have a thing I need to do in 50 minutes, so I got to fly. Glad to see everybody jumped in early. Here's a reminder. It's all of them. This is a good account. AJC 1776. We live in the ruins of a fallen great civilization. Man, look at that. I prefer dangerous freedom over peaceful slavery. Congress adds $1 trillion in debt every 100 days. Yep, there she is, burning it down. There's your positivity. We will win. What's wrong? Is it the booster shots? That's impossible. It must be climate change. Whoa. Anyway, some of these are just funny and some of these are raw milk is dangerous. Look, Coca-Cola Doritos. All wars are Rothschild City of London banking cartel wars. Single moms with 5 kids from 5 different men on their way to post about what a real man is. Cue the theme song to Curb Your Enthusiasm. But look, here's the thing I'm trying to get at. If you follow the New American Media on Instagram, okay, number one, if you don't have an Instagram account, I encourage you to get one. It really is a nice way to gather news. And 2, if you see the stuff we're posting for the New American Media, click on the account and follow them. Then you will follow some great sites as well. It's like we're leaving breadcrumbs. The reason I follow all these great channels is because I once saw somebody who I follow share something cool from them, then I follow them as well. That's how I get all the cool stories. So it's a little life hack. If you want to get more of the great stuff, follow more of the great stuff. And I do like Instagram. Okay, leading report here says, and that's cut off. What if I go this way? Nope. Try it again. Let me go back to this page. Leading report says breaking key Epstein evidence still exists. Oh, wow. Oh, really? We're so lucky. But it is being withheld due to national security risks, foreign policy fallout, and sensitive intel involving U.S. allies, says former Trump lawyer Rudy Giuliani. I haven't found the original source of that, but that is being reported by Leading Report. And that shows Bill Clinton with Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein. I don't know who these laughing hyenas are, but then you got Bibi looking on. Israel, are they connected? Here's little Ronnie D. Was not a fan of him turning on Trump and throwing him to the sharks instead of circling the wagons when it was time for him to run in the primaries. I did not like what little Ronnie D was up to. But when he's back in Florida doing what he does, well, I do like this version of Ron DeSantis. Here he goes.
Exact impact. And so when they do deficit spending of $2 trillion, and they say, well, you know, we don't want to raise taxes. And I'm not arguing for that either. I'm arguing for lowering spending. But just understand, that $2 trillion deficit is a tax on you. It works its way through the economy. There's no free lunch. And that's what ends up happening. And it's a little frustrating. You know, Elon Musk went into this Doge effort. He was getting lampooned. I mean, like, they're firebombing his Tesla dealerships. Media smearing him relentlessly. His businesses suffered, all this stuff, because he basically said, look, we can't keep doing this, and we need to moderate and reduce the amount of money that the federal government is spending. And yet, we have a Republican Congress, and to this day, we're in the end of May, past Memorial Day, and not 1 cent in Doge cuts have been implemented by the Congress. That's one of the reasons why we need a balanced budget amendment to the U.S. Constitution. Yeah. It's another reason why we need term limits for members of Congress.
Yeah. And only native-born, natural-born Americans should be able to serve in Congress. If you need that requirement for the presidency, you should have the same for Congress. Term limits and American natural-born citizenship.
But I think what you've seen with how, and I kind of said this early on, that Doge and Elon were on a collision course with the swamp. And the question is, what would happen? And I don't think there's any question that Doge fought the swamp, and so far the swamp has won. And that's just unfortunate, but I don't think you can look at this any other way. So this is hardwired into how the people in Washington are borrowing and spending your money. But it has huge implications for the viability of our economy, our country. Same exact impact. And so when they do...
All right, so there you go. I couldn't be more disappointed in what's happening right now. That all that hard work by Doge, and they're not going to codify it. Anyway, hey, to your irrelevant news, I just want to give you a quick update. Here's your sports balling. Edmonton now leads 3-1. Edmonton Oilers up on the Stars. Game 5 will be tomorrow. Game 5 is today. Florida Panthers lead the Carolina Hurricanes 3-1. Game 5 today. So just one win away from our championship series. Let's see if they can take care of business. And look, we got another 3-1 series here. Pacers took down the Knicks. They lead 3-1. Their game 5, the clinching game, potentially will be tomorrow. And Oklahoma City is 1 game away from going to the NBA Finals. They take on the Timberwolves today. They're up 3-1 as well. And that was your sports segment. Yeah, by the Congress. Yeah, key words, con. President Trump puts this out on a post. Other than the rigged presidential election of 2020, the biggest scandal in American history is the auto pen. Whoever used it was usurping the power of the presidency and should be very easy to find out who that person or persons is. They did things that They did things that a Joe Biden of sound mind would have never done, like open borders, transgender for everyone, men and women's sports, and far more. Fear not. However, we will bring America back bigger, better, and stronger than ever before. Let's check in on Harvard.
I think people in the elites, especially people who have been to Harvard, don't.
This is Batya Unger Sargon. Haven't heard of her very much, but now I'm seeing her a lot.
Don't quite understand how loathed the product of these elite institutions are to average Americans.
Oh, yeah.
People go to these universities, they get this degree, turns out at $2 billion of taxpayer expense, and then turn around and enact policy that actually hurts the very people who are the reason that they were able to become so successful. It's not just that people who go to these institutions are fabulously wealthy and more successful and working class people are struggling, but that from that perch of immense privilege, they have contempt for the hardest working people. And what Trump is basically doing is saying, actually, no, we're actually not going to do this anymore. We're not going to make the hardest working people subsidize the lives of the fabulously wealthy. We're going to do the opposite. We're going to take $3 billion from Harvard and give it to trade schools so that working.
How about that? That is something, all these pointless degrees. Oh, gender studies, race animus. Oh, I'm just going to crank out these angry, America-loathing miscreants. Everything's sexist. Everything's racist. America's terrible. Blah, blah, blah. I have such a nuanced opinion because I'm regurgitating what my Marxist professors, what my Leninist professors have been telling me to say. I'm so edgy and poignant and witty and charming. No, you're not. Do something useful.
Class people can afford to buy homes. This stuff is just, I can't tell you, Mark, how much joy it brings me straight into my veins.
Yes, your straight into the veins tweet has been forwarded to me by many.
I think people in the elites, especially people who have been to Harvard, don't quite understand how loathed.
Loathed is a good word there. I concur. CNN brings out a doctor to whine about Trump's CDC taking the COVID shot off the vaccine schedule for healthy children.
FDA announced
it's 2025 and the leftist media are still obsessed with COVID.
Just last week that the department would make changes to the COVID vaccine approvals that might limit future shots to seniors and those who are at higher risk of infection. Healthy adults and kids will likely lose access.
Lose access?
Dr. Paul Offit.
Lose access is how you're going to frame that? You monsters.
Director of the Vaccine Education Center at Children's Hospital of Philadelphia and a member of the FDA Vaccine Advisory Committee. Thank you.
Okay, that's what you are. Are you sponsored by Pfizer?
So much for being here, Dr.
Who funds you? Who funds your research? Why are you shilling for this?
Offit. First, your reaction to this new guidance on COVID-19 vaccine boosters.
I think it's a bad recommendation. I mean, you certainly know that by 6 months of age, all children will be vulnerable to a virus that is continuing to circulate. There have been retrospective studies looking at children, meaning people less than 18 years of age, who've gotten a yearly vaccine to show that there is benefit. So it doesn't make sense. I think it puts children unnecessarily in harm's way. And there have been about 1,000 deaths from COVID during this pandemic in children. About 1/3 of those deaths were in children who were perfectly healthy before that. So I think it's a bad idea. Also, I don't like it that they didn't consult advisory committees. They didn't consult the public. They just went behind closed doors and made this decision unilaterally from a man, RFK Jr., who said that he believes in transparency, and he said that he won't take vaccines away from anybody who wants them, and he's done neither of those things.
Taking them away or taking them off the vaccine schedule for healthy children? That's different. That they've misrepresented that twice now.
The FDA announced.
Good grief. DC Drano's putting this out. This is owner at Universal Ostrich Farm in Canada begs inspector. David Bann, have you heard about this one up in your backyard? Well, I know Canada's a big place, but oh, you're from Canada. Do you know Jimmy? You know Jimmy? I'd get that in California. Oh, you're from Ohio? Do you know Susan? Like, I mean, we have like the 5th most electoral college votes. It's a big state, Ohio. You know, I don't know Susan. You got to give me a little. Bella's chant saying America can never be greater than ever without arrests, indictments, and without justice. Yeah. Kenneth says, Bella, I am still going to hope they are coming soon. I enjoy my hopium and my Delta 8. Well, hey, makes the world go around these days. So an owner at Universal Ostrich Farm in Canada begs inspectors hysterically crying not to kill her 400 ostriches. They tell her that the bird flu would at max take a couple of days to kill an ostrich, yet none of her ostriches have had symptoms for 8 days. They're 34 years old and live to be 75. They're killing all her birds over bird flu when none of the 400 ostriches have any symptoms. This is...
I'm passionate. Why? That's 34 years of animals that live to 75. They have names. You tell Connor, you tell Ethan, you tell Hayden, you tell each one of them that you're going to come in here and shoot them. Tell Speckles.
This isn't something
tell
that
Lulu.
we want to be doing, but there's a policy in place that we must follow.
Well, it's time. This is the first in Canada. This is the time you guys can change the policies. You can put in your report. Every bird looks healthy, please.
That's not our decision to make. To go against the entire industry, make that decision.
Not when you say they're looking at changing it, please.
From national industry in consultation with the CFA and the Canadian government. That's if you want to say, okay, we're not going to eradicate, we want to move to something different. That's a conversation that has to happen at the national level.
Yeah. You know, what did we say? Oh, DC. Well, we said.
What are your expertise on how long would it take to pass through an ostrich if they were sick?
Anyway, I guess it continues. We said this is disgusting. You must not follow these ridiculous policies. Just following orders is not an excuse. DC Drano points out, remember when New York State killed Peanut the squirrel for no good reason? And when Fauci made bugs eat the faces of beagles? Well, now Canada is killing 30-year-old ostriches with no symptoms of bird flu. When did leftist regimes become so abusive to animals? Gross. I hate that story. It's a 2-minute story. You can see the rest of it. Andrew McCarthy reminding us, mass deportations will improve your commute to work, your ability to buy a home, your individual tax burden, your public schools, your state and national parks, your utilities and cost effectiveness, or your utilities cost and your utilities effectiveness, your local job market, your access to government services, your public safety, your national sovereignty. Anything else? I mean, that's a pretty good list. Disclose TV. FDA orders Pfizer and Moderna to update COVID mRNA vaccine warnings, adding heart injury risk mainly in teen boys and young men per CBS. Mike Ben says, what got you kicked out of your job and every social media platform on planet Earth 4 years ago is now mandatory as a warning label on the product itself. I effing love Jake Tapper. F CNN, F Jake Tapper. That's great. Seriously, can't make this up. Oh, I'm probably not even showing you all this. There we go. I'll do it that way. You know, this is so true. I don't know how to solve this problem in a free market, but when I signed up for Gmail, it was advertised as free unlimited email forever. That's what I signed up for. Now I have to pay Google or get rid of half of my email. I feel tricked. It's actually a great point. Yeah, you know what? I've run into this, and now I've been charged for God knows how long for 3 different accounts. God, I got to address this. I got to get rid of Gmail. Anyway, anyone else? Let's check Harvard again.
facing an existential, perhaps untenable crisis here. They've lost billions of dollars in in funding for shared research. The latest action last week to block Harvard from enrolling international students. That's a quarter of its student body. In their lawsuit, Harvard explains this as without this group of students, Harvard is not Harvard. And to be facing this sort of crisis and not really understand what is happening around him, I think is pretty telling. What is the end goal here? I mean, the end goal here is to inflict maximum pain on Harvard. We reported that there are people involved in this effort who set out wanting to topple a university to send a message, to have a scalp for the rest of academia, that this sort of unchecked liberalism that this administration sees happening on elite campuses around the country, it has to come to an end. Harvard is facing an existential, perhaps untenable.
They earned it. Harvard earned this. Academia is completely broken. Pull your kids from the radical Marxist, lowercase, indoctrination camps ASAP. That is my comment. President Trump said, I told Canada, which very much wants to be part of our fabulous Golden Dome system, that it'll cost $61 billion if they remain a separate but unequal. They say separate but unequal, sir. Can they be the same and different at the same time? I said yes. If they want to say separate but unequal nation, but it'll cost $0 if they become our cherished 51st state. They are considering the offer. Hey, we put in the Golden Dome and we buy Canada. I've seen weirder things happen. David, how would you feel if we bought your country? You're our Ottawa reporter. No, I mean our Ontario reporter. How would you feel? Here's a post from Patriot Phenomenon. I'm sorry, Patriot Phone Man. So does nobody else find it funny how both America and Europe got invaded and overwhelmed by mass illegal alien invasion at the same exact time? That's not a coincidence. That doesn't just happen, especially on a scale this large. This was planned, funded, and then executed. But planned, funded, and executed by who? And why? We call this the Obama Doctrine. That's who.
This is the
All right, so President Trump's crypto czar, David Sachs, according to Benny Johnson, just exposed Elizabeth Warren, a.k.a. Pocahontas, as the one running Biden's auto pen. Was she going to be Pentahontas? Pocapentas? Take a listen. This is on Fox with Jesse Waters.
Financial system of the future, Jesse, and we have to encourage it. What the Biden administration was doing, and let's face it, it wasn't Biden. Elizabeth Warren controlled the auto pen during that administration. She, for some reason, has this pathological hatred of the crypto community. She wants to drive this community offshore. She doesn't want it happening in the United States. That's the wrong policy for the United States. We want all the innovation happening here. This is a financial system of the future. It's cheaper. It's more efficient. We want it happening here, Jesse, and I think people are thrilled that President Trump is making that possible. This is the financial system of the future, Jesse, and we have to encourage it. What the Biden administration was doing, and let's face it.
All right, Pocahontas. Hey, are you pissed off about this story, or have you not seen it yet? It's one or the other. David says, I would be fine being an American. See, the problem is, Kenneth asking, does Trump have Canada dry wit? Oh, with the dry, cool wit like that, I could be an action hero. Remember that where they go to Itchy and Scratchy Land and they have to take the pictures of the Flash to short circuit the robots who have run amok? Kind of like a Jurassic Park. With a dry, cool wit like that, I could be a movie star. You know, I could be I could be an action hero, I think he says. Dry wit. David saying, I'm fine with being American. That's cool. Problem is, your country's so leftist. Do we even want it? If that could steer us over the cliff, we don't need anything wacky globalist. Like, that is just poison. It's country suicide. I don't know how we could do it and fix it. I don't know if it's fixable. Your nation has become an intergalactic lily pad. It's become a dumping ground for international non-citizens changing Canada forever into something radical Marxist, leftist, globalist. And that stuff doesn't work anywhere in the world. So I don't know that I'd want that. We have our own problems. But I'm open to the idea. It's a cool idea. All right, Fox 4 News reporting this story. Look at this young lady. So mad at this. And by the way, shocking, here's another illegal alien with more than at least 4 names. You know, I'm Brian Michael Engelman. You're so-and-so and so-and-so. But as I read all these deportation, these arrests, these criminal illegal alien stories, they almost always have at least 4 names. Sometimes hyphenated, sometimes not. This is the first time it's been like a stutter, like a redundant one. But anyway, Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton, by the way, who was kicked out of the state house in Texas, I think I have a story on that, says Carolyn Alejandra Gonzalez. Why do you have to put your name twice? I don't get that part. If I was Brian Engelman, and so it seems a little redundant, unnecessary. Carolyn Alejandra Gonzalez, the woman suspected of hitting and killing an 18-year-old Ava Moore with a jet ski on Grapevine Lake, and a man who allegedly helped her flee the scene, were in the country illegally. And both have been arrested. Doggone it. Hate these stories. Ava Moore had a bright future. Just graduated from the United States Air Force Academy Preparatory School, set to return for 4 years of school at USAFA. Her and my son were friends at the P. They were in the same squad, Charlie Squad Class 2025 is devastated. This one, it never ends. Every week, Americans die for one reason or another at the hands of illegal alien invaders. Remember, the Democrats refuse to acknowledge this and are going above and beyond for the illegal immigrants hurting and killing us. Democrats in the Biden White House are responsible for this. So I'm going to say, when will the DOJ sue Biden, Obama, and the Democrat Party for all of the wrongful deaths caused by the illegal alien invasion that they orchestrated? Bankrupt the traitors already. That's my thought. Cat Turd says, Republican or Democrat, if you're in Congress and you don't vote to codify the Doge cuts, you're one of the crooks. And we see you. Hey, check this out. This is Winning from Breitbart. California changes girls' track and field championship rules after Trump threatens funding over a gender dysphoria athlete. President Trump is fighting against leftists' war on women and scoring victories for women's athletics, Breitbart writes. California sports officials changed the eligibility rules of a high school track and field state championship last minute after President Donald Trump called out the state for allowing a gender dysphoria suffering male to snag a victory and disenfranchise female athletes. The California Interscholastic Federation, CIF, told Fox News Digital on Tuesday the competition will now include the female athletes who did not qualify for the competition, who may have placed higher if the transgender identifying athlete were not participating. The announcement occurred only hours after Trump posted to Truth Social, threatening to withhold federal funding from the state over the debacle. President Trump said California, under the leadership of radical left Democrat Gavin Newsom, continues to illegally allow men to play in women's sports. This week, a transitioned male athlete at a major event won everything, and now qualified to compete in the state finals next weekend. As a male, he was a less than average competitor. As a female, this transition person is practically unbeatable. This is not fair and totally demeaning to women and girls. Please be hereby advised that large-scale federal funding will be held back, maybe permanently, if the executive order on this subject matter is not adhered to. The governor himself said it's unfair. I will speak to him today to find out which way he wants to go. In the meantime, I'm ordering local authorities, if necessary, to not allow the transition person to compete in the state finals. This is a totally ridiculous situation. The Federation claims it decided to change its policy after the end of Saturday's Masters qualifying round. Masters. Not after President Trump's statement. Oh, please. I'm just going to say thank you, President Trump, for restoring sanity to reverse the Obama doctrine of men in lady sports. Yeah, no, I'm calling it the Obama doctrine, even though like it was kind of Biden pushing it. We all know Biden wasn't there. It turns out that the FDA knew. Let's take a listen. This is shared from Bongino Inc.
Turns out the FDA knew about the myocarditis complication in young boys. Swollen hearts. Swollen hearts with now evidence.
Yeah, we all know. But with a gun to my head, for countervailing views on health and elections, go to cdc.gov, who.int, and visit cisa.gov/rumor control, because they want you to have countervailing views. Remember the lies you've been fed for 5 years? They want you to get more of that. Meanwhile, they knew there was evidence.
Evidence that, say, roughly a third or more will have long-term scar tissue. That is what appears to be permanent. They knew about the myocarditis complication and did not make a public announcement or disclosure or warning about it until months after, when they should have. So this is the sort of stuff that ruins public trust and hurts all of us who are physicians, who need the trust of the public. So, you know, we're taking a lot of steps to try to rebuild that public trust, and one of those steps is to say, show us the data. We're going to be evidence-based. It turns out the FDA knew about the myocarditis complication in young boys. Swollen hearts. Swollen hearts.
Good grief. Never forgive these people. President Trump said, I've just signed a proclamation for the United States Border Patrol celebrating there we go. Celebrating their 101st anniversary of the U.S. Border Patrol. Shockingly, President Biden and the Democrats refused to celebrate and honor them, and therefore would not sign a proclamation celebrating this great achievement and all they have done for our country. Thank you, President Trump.
Well,
you want to hear what Democrats do when they get in charge? They ruin everything they touch. Yeah.
And the trifecta.
Tim Walz and the trifecta.
In Minnesota, the last legislative session gave illegals free health care. It's called MinCare, free driver's license, and free college tuition. Now we're out of money. Minnesota's out of money. It was $18 billion surplus, and Walz urinated it away to a $6 billion tax increase on Minnesotans. Now it's a legislature where the Republicans, they're half and half in the House, so they have to work in a bipartisan way. Right now, Governor Walz understands we're in dire straits. He now wants to, rightfully so, kick or get rid of illegals on Medicaid in Minnesota. And his base is they're protesting him, etc. I mean, in my opinion, Governor Walz has been a really a disappointment, and that's the best I can say for Minnesota. And I will tell our listeners today that you ought to appreciate Minnesota because we took one for the team last election. Walz.
Hey, there you go. Kenneth, you used to live in Minnesota, right? All right, TNAM preparedness. Leading report says breaking new COVID-19 variant NB181 reportedly spreading in the U.S. per Forbes. Well, now you heard about it. Laura Trump says that Jake Tapper apologized to her regarding her call on Biden's mental decline. Too little, too late. I don't buy a single thing that Jake.
The border is closed.
San Diego Migrant Center just shut down due to President Trump's record low illegal border
closed. And it's kind of remarkable to think about if any president had accomplished what President Trump has accomplished at the border, you could just sort of go home. Of course, that's not the case with President Trump. He's still working. This is what the chief patrol agent in the San Diego sector wrote. Due to the unprecedented decrease in illegal crossings this year, the massive 1,000-person San Diego sector soft-sided facility has been dismantled. In 2025, San Diego sector arrested 1,199 illegal aliens with an average of 38 per day. This was a 186% drop compared to March of 2024.
How great is that when you see the video of them shutting down the facility where it used to be packed with migrants under Joe Biden, and now under Donald Trump, only 38 a day. So his efforts are working from day one. And ICE is still...
I mean, instead of shutting it down, drop all the illegal aliens that you can't, that you're getting hung up in the court. Just put them out there, put them in pink suits, and put them on a chain gang.
Doing the work, Lawrence. They're still
exactly
arresting
right.
people over the Memorial Day weekend.
You know, I think it was probably one of his famous lines in one of the speeches that he gave. He goes, "We didn't need new legislation. We just needed a new president." And it's true, because there's no new laws concerning the border that's been passed. It's just the president and his administration enforcing the law.
The border is closed, and it's kind of remarkable to think.
It is remarkable. Thank you, President Trump, Tom Homan, and Kristi Noem. Mike Benz with Tucker again.
There was a deep state in Russia in the 1990s, these oligarchs, and we lost control over Russia. They're basically analogizing Trump to Putin, and they're saying we had total control over Russia during the Boris Yeltsin period, and we had all these relationships with the Russian oligarchs.
Yeah, and the deep state lost it, so they're freaking out. They're trying to assassinate him. They're trying to impeach him. They're trying to jail him. How about fuck you? You know, if the deep state made our lives better, we'd probably let them run things, because they hate you and they hate me. Since the deep state hates you, they are your enemy. They have decided to go to war with you. You didn't ask for this. You want them to stay out of your life and leave you alone. They refuse. The deep state keeps fighting you. The deep state hates you. They want you poor. They want you to lose the sovereignty of your own nation. They want you miserable. That's why they're going after Trump.
But then Putin...
And they lost Russia as well, according to Mike Benz.
Had a natural advantage as being the head of state, was somehow able to take over the Russian deep state, and then we lost control over Russia.
This is right. This is like the heart of it that nobody ever says. It's Putin's decision to decapitate the oligarchy. That's the reason they hate him.
Well, what they say is that he also co-opted it and got the oligarchy working for him rather than for outside.
And in the meantime, the Russian economy recovered and life expectancy went up and alcoholism went down and like it became a beautiful country. The oligarchy wasn't serving Russia. That's kind of the point.
And the punchline to this is, at the end of setting this question up, the guy at Council on Foreign Relations asks, given that that's what happened with Putin, how can we preserve the deep state against Trump so that the deep state can save us? This direct quote.
Sick.
There was a deep state in Russia in the 1990s, these oligarchs, and
we said the deep state hates you. The deep state hates all of us. The deep state has declared war on humanity. It's time to unite, defend, resist, and succeed at driving the globalists into their jail cells. I wouldn't care if they were making things better, but they're not. They're making it the absolute worst. Speaking of making things the worst that they can, here's a liberal from California sharing surprising views about Gavin Newsom.
Liberals for Trump. Gavin Newsom has run this state into the ground. There was a $30 billion surplus, and now there's a $70 billion deficit.
That's exactly the Tim Walz story, isn't it? Huh?
The only thing that keeps this place going is the fact that it's a beautiful state with wonderful resources. If you had the CEO of a company who the revenue was $30 billion, and then the next year it was negative 70, that person would be fired immediately and would not be able to find a job elsewhere. These people are unemployable in the private sector. They cleaned up San Francisco not for the citizens of San Francisco.
Rolls out the red carpet for China.
When she came to town overnight, everything was cleaned up, CCP flags everywhere. That's like a little microcosm of where the left represents, but the MAGA faction of the Republican Party actually represents people's interests, the constituents' interests.
But they hate you, so they don't want that. Trump is between a blob and a hard place.
Trump is between a blob and a hard place. If he wants a budget done, he needs Congress to approve. We do not have a populist supermajority in Congress. There are more populists now in Congress than there were under Trump 1. So I don't think Trump will get as rolled as he was by Paul Ryan. But there will be rolling, undoubtedly. Because we've seen 26 members of Congress, I think, have said that they're not going to approve the Doge cuts, just the Doge cuts, while you're getting handed even more money from a $1 trillion Pentagon budget. And how much of that trillion is going to be civil military, i.e. NGOs? Because the military funds these NGOs. The Secretary of War is on the board for the U.S. Institute of Peace. The Pentagon pays the Atlantic Council. The Pentagon pays for NATO, which has all the societal resilience and social cohesion grants to the NGO space to do all this. And so you can shut down USAID, but you can just call it civil military, and the civil society NGOs will be funded by the Pentagon. So Trump has to keep his coalition together, and so he can't get everything he wants. Just as we're not a unipolar power anymore, Trump is not a unipolar president. Trump is between a blob and a hard place. If he wants a budget done, he needs...
Blob in a hard place indeed. How can we remove every Democrat and every rhino as soon as possible? We only have one chance to repair America, and we're running out of time, I said. Dan Bongino says, we have asked our team to fully investigate allegations of targeted violence against religious groups at the Seattle concert. Freedom of religion isn't a suggestion. We brought you that story yesterday. Leading report says Elizabeth Warren controlled the auto pen during the Biden administration, claims White House AI and crypto czar David Sachs, we told you about. James Comey, what the heck?
Why he is not in prison, he's a disgusting and revolting human being. And the system that created him is disgusting and revolting. And I'm adamant, we got to take this apart brick by brick. It cannot be saved. It cannot, Cash, they're talking about a hall of heroes over there. There are no heroes. Because even the guys that are the good guys, the FBI, nobody came forward because they didn't believe we would ever come back into power. And guess what? We're going to be in power a long time. We need to take the FBI apart, and we need to take it apart today. Comey right there, you see white supremacists adjacent. Dude,
I got so angry at James Comey calling MAGA supporters white supremacist adjacent. Fuck you. Oh, fuck that guy. 8647. 86U. Put you in prison. Indict you for your crimes. Your treason. And then if you're found guilty by a jury of your peers, then hey, if 86 is on the table for treason, then so be it after you're fully given a chance to defend yourself against your indefensible actions. Fuck you, James Comey.
won by getting the biggest vote on the Hispanic community ever.
Yeah, you know why? Because they don't want illegal aliens destroying their communities either. Shocking. Nobody does.
We got 39% of African-American men, white supremacists.
Why is it only 4 in 10? Those are rookie numbers. You got to boost those numbers. Although those are like some of the best numbers Republicans have ever seen.
That dude, you're disgusting and revolting. And we got to take it to these people. Okay, we can't play patty cake anymore.
No patty cake. You got to take it to these people. I concur. In the new live action Lilo and Stitch, Nani chooses to give up custody of Lilo so she can go to college. Some people are saying that's misrepresented, but that's what they're saying. Miss Muckraker report. Some updates. Social Security removed from its rolls 12.3 million individuals listed as 120 years old and older. I wish they could have got rid of the 100-year-olds, honestly. Like, you should have to recheck in at that age and just assume that they're not. I mean, 120 is an easy one because nobody lives that long, but it's a start. My question is, how do you keep it from happening again? That's my other part of this. New COVID-19 variant NB181 spreading in the U.S. per Forbes. Okay, so we don't need to shut the country down for a year, they're suggesting. Yeah, worse than Watergate, says Jake Tapper. Yeah, we've only been saying it for 4 years. More than that, actually. I've been saying it since 2019, 2020. That's 6 years, 5 years. According to Doge head Elon Musk, an estimated 10 to 15 cents of every dollar spent by some agencies on foreign aid reaches its intended destination. So that means 85 to 90% is fraud or waste or abuse. Yeah, BLM 5 years after George Floyd. More police dead, more black people dead, more crime in black neighborhoods, more financial fraud, and no black lives have been improved. You know, they really ran with that one story, and they didn't watch the whole arrest tape, did they? The hyperventilating, the overdosing, the handcuffing, gently placed in the backseat of a car when he escaped out the other door, ended up on the ground, overdosed on the ground, or, I mean, it looked like he was killed on the ground. Various forms of various autopsies showed you various information, but, you know, to appease the mob, Chauvin was thrown into a cage and then stabbed 30 times, 50 times. They tried to take him out. And there were several Minneapolis police members who testified that said that knee to the upper back, shoulder, neck area is exactly how you taught us to restrain somebody flipping out. That's exactly what you trained us to do. And then you're going to sacrifice us to go get killed in prison because he did that. Didn't look good. I said from day one, it looks terrible. I don't know what there may be discrepancies on the autopsies, and, you know, you can make an autopsy say damn near anything you want if you direct them to say it that way. But yeah, you need to get off of that person and just do a hog tie. Hands are cuffed behind your back. Cuff the ankles and the hands together. Let them get that energy out until you can deal with them. But 5 years later, you know, current or recent fraud cases tied to BLM. I mean, here's a whole bunch of withholding of donations and misusing for personal expenses and fraud and personal items like a house, and, you know, anyway. Jasmine Crockett of the Democrats says it's time for Republicans to start calling out Trump and to start questioning his mental acuity and whether or not he is mentally equipped to serve. This is coming from the woman that claimed coming to this country illegally wasn't illegal. So there's your Democrat Party. As we reported earlier, a majority of Americans believe the United States is on the right track for the first time in Rasmussen reports polling history. Like I said, 50% tie goes to the runner. What is going on with Macron's handler? I don't even know what's going on. What do you think? Is Macron married to a lady, or is there something? Here you go. When bro embarrasses you in public, but you got to act nonchalant about it. You saw that. But there's nothing funny about violence from females on men, is there? It's funny. It's a joke, but it's not a joke. Anyway, let's listen to Argentina update.
President Javier Milei removed rent control laws despite super high inflation and a shocking number of people living below the poverty line. How do you think things went? Well, they actually got better. Now, that may be shocking to you. After all, rent control is supposed to protect the poor tenants from inflation and greedy landlords. But what really happens is people stop building and eventually stop renting out altogether. And once the rent control laws in Argentina were removed, the supply of rental properties skyrocketed by 195%. Suddenly, that housing shortage ain't shortaging anymore. One real estate mogul said, "We've seen a significant increase in rental apartments, and in some cases, we had to lower prices in pesos because of fewer viewings." I, for one, love watching libertarianism in action. It's almost as if we were right this whole time. Argentina's...
There you go. Rent controls helps the people. Here's the new face of the Democrat Party. If it's not Jasmine Crockett, it's maybe this lady. AOC. Never been married, never had a child, never ran a business, never ran a home, never managed people, never had a professional job, never served on a committee, no real life experience. There's your basic deadbeat socialist. Is that fair? Is that fair? Would you agree or disagree with that assessment? Oh, here you go. Okay, hence fake news was born. This post says, moves like Jagger. Obama made it legal for the media to purposely lie to the American people. In 2012, he signed H.R. 4310, which allowed propaganda to be used on U.S. citizens by its own government, essentially repealing the Smith-Mundt Act of 1948, which banned the use of domestic propaganda. And we said, cool, but why didn't Trump reverse this and highlight the Obama doctrine of deception and manipulation? I'd love to know. Really big news.
RFK Jr. has just removed the COVID vaccine from the CDC's recommended list of immunizations for healthy children and healthy pregnant women. I feel like this is such a win. They were shoving this vaccine down everyone's throats, and there have been such horrible consequences as a result of this vaccine, which really basically didn't do anything.
Countervailing views, cdc.gov, who.int, and cisa.gov/rumor control.
Everyone who I know who got vaccinated ended up getting COVID. Everyone who I know who wasn't vaccinated didn't get COVID. So this is a huge win. Super excited. All right, really big news.
Really excited. Comedian Steve Byrne. Yeah, from a couple days ago. This story's just going on and on. Caitlin Clark is now injured. She has an injury to her what is it? Her quad, I believe, her thigh. So Brittany Griner, this person that some allege is a man, the person who was traded for the Merchant of Death. Remember, Joe Biden gave the Merchant of Death to Russia in exchange for this lady basketball player, past her prime, by the way, if they ever had a prime. And if this is really a girl. Once again, if there are guys pretending to be girls taking jobs away from ladies in the WNBA, that is a national outrage. I don't know if it's true or not, but because of this insanity, my brain has to ask all of these questions every time I see these stories. But anyway, Steve Byrne says, because this did happen, Brittany Griner calls Caitlin Clark a trash effing white girl. So if Caitlin Clark said to this person, that's a trash effing black girl, oh, ESPN would melt down. She'd be canceled and all of the things. But that person can say she's a trash effing white girl? Anyway, Steve Byrne says Caitlin Clark is the Jackie Robinson of the WNBA. Do you agree with that? I mean, it's an interesting take. All right, this has been reported. I don't know if it's on X. Haven't had a chance to look at it. Female Secret Service agents are fighting each other outside of Obama's home. DEI strikes again. We asked, is this Spirit Airlines? Red Pill Wisdom says, teach your boys to be men before their teachers teach them to be women. I mean, is that fair? Do you disagree with that assessment? Not that one. I can ask, hang on, let me go back. Not this one. Percentage of male versus female teachers. And I know it's going to break down, like you got elementary, you got, oh my God. All right, so secondary schools, women comprise up to 55% of teachers globally. Primary schools, 70% female teachers. Pre-primary, 90% of teachers are female in most regions. Overall, U.S., according to the latest statistics, 77% of public school teachers are female. About 8 in 10, 4 out of 5. Elementary level, 90% female. So, hey, you going to teach your boys to be men, or are the teachers going to teach them how to be women? They don't know how to be men. Yeah. Rest in peace, Ava Renee Moore. We're so sorry that Biden Obama let these illegal alien invaders into America. This lady was kayaking and they got ran over by a jet ski at Grapevine Lake over Memorial Day weekend. What a shame. Here's Carolyn Levitt.
Percentage of Americans who say the country's on the right track is the highest number that they have surveyed in their 29-year polling history, which I found significant.
I don't think it was 29. I think it was 19 years.
Ask you about the Trump FBI reopening investigations into the Supreme Court abortion decision leak, the Biden White House cocaine scandal that lasted a whopping, 10 days, and the January 6th pipe bomber mystery. It seems like the administration is going back and getting to the bottom of some unfinished business.
Mm-hmm. Yes, all of those announcements coming from the FBI, Kash Patel, and of course our great Attorney General Pam Bondi, who is committed to the truth, Sean, just like President Trump and his entire administration, and committed to an unprecedented level of access and transparency that is led by President Trump at the White House every day. He takes questions from the press. He talks directly and honestly and candidly about the problems and the challenges he is solving, not just here at home, but also abroad. And he's demanding answers. And one of the things he is going to continue to push for answers on is who the heck was running the country over the past 4 years. And you just talked about it in your monologue, and I'm glad to hear it, because this is truly the greatest political scandal our country has ever seen. We had unelected, radical left White House staffers who nobody knew their names running the most powerful country in the history of the world. And the Democrat Party was in a complete alliance to cover it up. And the mainstream media was right along with them. They were asking Joe Biden what his favorite ice cream was, rather than asking him whether or not he was suited to run the country. And so we need answers on what took place over the past 4 years, because look at the consequences of having these unelected radical left-wing staffers in the West Wing running the country. We had a wide-open border invasion that this administration is cleaning up every day despite challenges from the courts. We had an economy that was left in the dust. But again, thanks to President...
Percentage of Americans who say the country...
Anyway. Yeah, I think it was 19 years, not 29, as he said. Yeah, this is David Sachs again calling Elizabeth Warren the puppet master of Biden's auto pen presidency. Corruption in South Africa.
I'm putting myself at risk here, by the way.
Andrew Hersov.
We've got lunatics running the asylum. What can you tell us about him? President Cyril Ramaphosa.
Cyril Ramaphosa. Yeah, there's been pushback like, oh, none of that stuff's happening. That's not true. Guess what? It is true.
Complete gangster, rogue, villain.
So have you spent any time with Elon Musk?
The South African government said to Elon Musk, if you want to bring Starlink to South Africa, you've got to give 30% of your business to a black person, and we'll tell you who.
Who said this? Jacob Zuma?
Our government says this. It's a government policy. We get poorer every year. The country is falling apart.
With youth unemployment at 61%.
Highest in the world.
How?
South Africa is Germany in the early 1930s. They're pushing anti-white racism and socialism by the day. And let me give you the worst of it.
Tell me more.
These are the things he is saying publicly to 100,000 people in the stadium. He says, kill the Boer, one farmer, one bullet. We will slit the throat of whiteness.
It's from South Africa, and you think it's a fraud what they did to diamonds.
De Beers is sitting on a mountain of unsold diamonds, the best short in the world. And I'm putting myself at risk here, by the way.
Best short in the world. Don't take investment advice, but that sounded like something. Barron here at News Barron says, when a U.S. president has to battle his own government to defend the American people, the enemy isn't foreign, it's domestic. Agree or disagree? All right, check this out. This will be the last post of the day.
Quote of Brittany Griner, what she said about the NBA. This is so funny how all this stuff works out, right? She says, this is from Brittany. Every time we play her, there's this commotion, like this loud rumbling from the stands. Turns out it's people, thousands of them, just sitting there, watching on purpose. It's very disruptive. It's called a freaking game that they pay you money to play. Don't play the game. It's very disruptive.
It's disruptive having fans in the WNBA instead of playing to an empty arena. Oh, the hate on Caitlin Clark is so stupid.
It continues. Brittany Griner voiced frustration in a recent interview, claiming that Caitlin Clark is ruining what used to make the WNBA great. Wait for this.
Empty stands?
Tom, let me just.
Go ahead, I'm so mad.
WNBA games used to be a chill, quiet place. You could bring your laptop and relax, maybe even.
A chill, quiet place to bring your laptop and relax? What are they talking about? They don't want fans. You know what? Agree or disagree. It's time for Caitlin Clark to get out of this WNBA who's not protecting her. They're letting her get injured by these jealous nincompoops. Caitlin Clark should go start her own damn league. Agree or disagree?
Get a little work done. But now it's like there's a large gathering of people watching us from the stands. Some of them are yelling crazy shit about what they're seeing, putting unfair pressure on us to score like we're there for their entertainment. And that's pretty gross.
What?
Are you
I act like you are the entertainment. It's not gross. It's literally what you do. These are the dumbest people on earth.
Okay, Rob, can you verify that this is what she said on the mom and pop WNBA model?
This cannot be a real quote.
That she's sick of the and then she says the whole thing is toxic. I saw a guy with his daughter in the crowd, both of them yelling, couldn't hear what they were saying exactly, but it was either about my performance or some light racism. Definitely one of the two.
She's either being yelled at for her performance or because of light racism. Fuck her and fuck all of that. My God. The WNBA is trying to go out of business. Let them. Caitlin Clark, leave the WNBA. Retire from the WNBA. Start your own league. This is stupid.
Give me a flipping break.
This is why the WNBA is never, ever, ever going to work and never make money. And Angel Reese and Brittany Griner, they walk around like the league owes them something. Even Ryan Clark's attitude as if, bro, where's the victimhood? These are freaking millionaires. Like, what are you talking about? It's attitude, it's no humility, just entitlement, and that's not confidence, it's arrogance with receipts. Okay, if you want fans, if you want your league to grow, act like a professional. Yeah. Okay? The league already started underwater, and instead of fixing it, they're just poking more holes in the boat. And think about it, Brittany Griner talking all that trash. We traded the merchant of death for your ass, and you're out there talking shit and saying racist shit on the freaking sideline.
For the ticky-tack fouls that we were talking about earlier today.
Pretty much sounds like trash effing white girl. And it's disgusting. Okay, that's why nobody watches it.
Quote of Brittany Griner.
All right, that's what I have for the show today. Thank you all for watching. I'll be back tomorrow.